Are you constantly broke, even though you work hard every month? Do you feel like your money disappears, but you can't figure out where it's going? You're not alone, and the truth is, there are 5 silent financial mistakes draining your wallet right now, and you probably don't even realize it. In this video, I'm going to expose the 5 biggest financial errors most people make in their 20s and 30s, mistakes that quietly kill your ability to build wealth. If you're tired of feeling stuck and want instant financial clarity, this is your wake-up call. Watch until the end and learn how to flip the script before it's too late. Have you ever wondered why, despite working hard every month, money seems to simply disappear as soon as it hits your account? You are not lazy, nor dumb. But at the end of the month, when you check your bank balance, you have no idea where your money went. Have you felt that frustration? No savings, no investments, just stress, debts, and the feeling of being stuck on a financial treadmill. You work hard, but it feels like you're not getting anywhere. This problem isn't just because of a bad economy or your job. The truth is, you're probably making some silent financial mistakes that nobody ever told you about. These mistakes are sneaky because they seem normal, even natural, but they are the biggest enemies of your financial freedom. Today, we're going to talk about the first mistake, emotional spending. Have you ever bought something just to feel better? Maybe an expensive delivery, a new piece of clothing you didn't need, or that gadget that caught your eye. This happens because our brain seeks a quick reward, a small dose of happiness called a dopamine hit. This feeling is addictive and leads us to buy impulsively, thinking we're taking care of ourselves, but in reality, we're sabotaging ourselves. I've been through this myself. I thought I had a spending problem, but the real problem was not knowing how to control my emotions. I used money as a bandage to feel better, without realizing I was digging an ever-deepening financial hole. What changed everything was a simple but powerful rule, the 24-hour pause. If I want something non-essential, I wait a full day before deciding. I give myself space to think, do I really want this, or do I just want to feel better for a moment? This pause helped me avoid many impulsive purchases and save money that used to disappear without explanation. Your bank balance is a direct reflection of your ability to delay gratification. People who manage to build wealth aren't necessarily those who earn more, but those who know how to wait and control their spending impulses. Now stop and think, when was the last time you bought something just to feel better? That's the first red flag indicating emotional spending. Recognizing this pattern is the first step to change. But how do you identify these emotional triggers? They can be work stress, an argument, fatigue, or even boredom. The key is to pay attention to your emotions before spending. When you feel the urge to buy something, stop and ask yourself, do I really need this, or am I trying to fill an emotional void? To help, here's a practical exercise. During the next week, every time you feel the urge to buy something impulsively, write down what you are feeling at that moment. Stress? Anxiety? Joy? This will help you map your triggers and better understand your habits. Also, it's important to create alternatives for those difficult moments that don't involve spending money. It could be a walk, a chat with a friend, breathing exercises, or any activity that helps you relax and feel better without opening your wallet. Remember, controlling emotional spending isn't about cutting out everything that makes you happy, but about understanding when consumption is an escape and when it's a conscious choice. Also, it's important to create alternatives for those difficult moments that don't involve spending money. It could be a walk, a chat with a friend, breathing exercises, or any activity that helps you relax and feel better without opening your wallet. Remember, controlling emotional spending isn't about cutting out everything that makes you happy, but about understanding when consumption is an escape and when it's a conscious choice. Now, let's dive a little deeper into this topic. Imagine you're having a very stressful day at work. Your boss demanded too much, you couldn't finish your tasks, and you had a traffic problem that delayed your return home. When you arrive, you feel exhausted, a mix of frustration and anxiety. What do? Often, The automatic response is to open a shopping app or order an expensive delivery to reward yourself. This behavior is so common it's even joked about. Today was a tough day, I deserve a treat. But the problem is that this treat, which seems like self-care, is actually a trap that keeps you stuck in the cycle of financial struggle. That's why it's essential to understand that emotional spending is a learned behavior and can be changed. It's not about willpower but about creating strategies to deal with emotions without resorting to impulsive consumption. A powerful technique that works very well is habit substitution. When you feel the urge to spend impulsively, replace that action with something pleasurable that costs nothing. It could be listening to your favorite music, doing a quick meditation, writing in a journal, or even taking a walk around the block. Another important tip is to prepare your environment to avoid temptations. This means canceling subscriptions you don't use, uninstalling shopping apps from your phone, and avoiding passing by stores that make you buy on impulse. Now, let's talk about the impact of this mistake on your financial life. When you spend emotionally, you're creating a pattern that can lead to debt, lack of money for emergencies, and the inability to invest in your future. And the worst part, this pattern is silent because you don't even realize it's happening until the problem becomes too big. That's why the first step to break this cycle is awareness. Recognizing that emotional spending exists and that it's harming you is fundamental to start changing. To help you take this first step, here's a challenge. For the next 7 days, every time you feel the urge to buy something impulsively, stop, take a deep breath, and write down what you're feeling. Then, wait 24 hours before making any purchase decision. At the end of the week, review your notes and see how many purchases you avoided and how you felt controlling that impulse. This exercise will help you build awareness about your habits and develop the control necessary to change your relationship with money. Also, I want to share a real story that illustrates this point well. I met someone who, like many, used consumption as an escape valve for stress. She spent a good part of her salary on impulsive purchases, and at the end of the month, she had nothing left for emergencies or investments. When she started applying the 24-hour pause and replacing emotional spending habits with other activities, she managed to save about 30% of what she used to spend. In a few months, this turned into a financial reserve that brought security and peace of mind to her life. This transformation was only possible because she understood that money is not the enemy, but a powerful tool that can work in your favor when used consciously. Before closing this first part, I want to emphasize that controlling emotional spending is a process, not an instant change. Be patient with yourself and celebrate every small victory. Every purchase avoided is one more step toward financial freedom. And to help you stay focused, here's a phrase to reflect on: it's not how much you earn, but how much you can save and grow that determines your wealth. If you liked this first part, stay tuned because in the next block we'll talk about a topic that seems boring but is essential: budgeting. You'll learn how to make a simple plan for your money that will prevent it from disappearing every month without explanation. Have you ever heard someone say that budgeting is for people who are broke? That it's boring, restrictive, and limits your freedom? This is one of the biggest beliefs that keeps many people trapped in financial scarcity. But the truth is exactly the opposite. Those who don't budget are the ones stuck in the cycle of scarcity. Budgeting is not a prison. Budgeting is a plan. It's the map you create for your money even before it arrives in your account. Without this plan, your money is like water you try to pour into a leaky bucket. No matter how much you pour, it never fills up. You can earn more, work overtime, get bonuses, but if you don't control where your money goes, it will disappear. Let's imagine a simple situation. You receive your salary at the beginning of the month and without planning, you start paying bills, buying what you need, and by mid-month you realize you have no money left for anything beyond the basics. Sound familiar? This happens because you don't really know where your money is going. Making a budget is precisely about avoiding this surprise. It's about telling your money, you will go here, here, and here. You decide where your money goes before spending it, not after. But how do you do this in practice? It doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need huge spreadsheets or to be a finance expert. You can start with a piece of paper, a simple spreadsheet on your computer, or a mobile app. The first step is to divide your income into categories. For example, fixed costs like rent, electricity, water, internet, variable expenses like food, transportation, leisure, savings or investments, and a category I call freedom money, that amount you can use for small indulgences without guilt. Now, let's detail each category so you understand what should go into each. Fixed costs. These are the expenses you need to pay every month and usually have stable amounts. Rent, condo fees, water, electricity, internet, phone bills, children's school fees, health insurance. These expenses are the foundation of your budget and should be prioritized to avoid bigger problems like service cuts or fines. Variable expenses. These are expenses that can vary month to month and that you can better control. Food, transportation, leisure, personal shopping, clothes, medicines, among others. This is where many people end up spending more than they should, especially if they don't have strict control. Savings and investments. This category is fundamental for your financial future. It's the money you set aside for emergencies, to fulfill dreams, or to guarantee your retirement. Even if it's a small amount, the important thing is to create the habit of saving. Freedom money. This is space for you to use without guilt, for small pleasures that make you happy. It could be a coffee, a movie, a walk, a gift for yourself. Having this space helps maintain balance and prevents you from feeling trapped or frustrated with the budget. Now that you know the categories, let's move to the next step. Write down all your expenses for a week. It may seem tedious, but it's essential to understand where your money is going. Often, the problem lies in small expenses that go unnoticed, like daily coffee, Uber rides, or subscriptions you don't even use anymore. When you start writing everything down, you'll be surprised by what appears. I myself, when I started doing this, discovered I was spending about 700 Brazilian reals a month on small things I thought didn't matter. Coffee, Uber, food apps, forgotten subscriptions. All that added up to a hole in my budget. Here's an exercise for you. For the next 7 days, write down everything you spend, no matter how small. Use a notebook, an app, whatever is easiest for you. At the end of the week, analyze your expenses and see where the biggest leaks are. This exercise will give you clarity, which is the first step to change. Because, as the saying goes, you can't fix what you don't measure. Now, I want you to reflect. Which of these categories is consuming most of your money? Do you have control over your fixed costs? Or are the variable expenses getting out of control? Or maybe you're not saving anything at all. From this analysis, you can start making adjustments. Maybe cut that expensive coffee, reduce restaurant visits, cancel subscriptions you don't use. Small changes that, added together, make a huge difference. Another important tip is to review your budget every month. Life changes, your expenses change, and your budget needs to keep up. It's no use making a plan and forgetting about it. And to keep discipline, automate what you can. For example, set up automatic debit for fixed bills and for savings. This way, you avoid delays and the temptation to spend what should be saved. Now, to keep you engaged, I want to ask you a question. Have you ever tried to make a budget before? If yes, what was the biggest difficulty? If not, what's stopping you from starting today? Think about it, and when you can, write down your answers. This reflection will help you identify barriers and find solutions. Remember, budgeting is not about restriction, it's about freedom. Freedom to know exactly where your money is, to avoid surprises, to start saving and investing, and to build the financial life you want. Have you ever noticed that when your income increases, your expenses also rise in the same proportion, or even more? This is what we call lifestyle creep, or the increase in your standard of living. It's a silent trap that keeps many people stuck in the cycle of financial struggle, even when earning more. Imagine you got a promotion at work and your salary doubled. You feel happy, you deserve to celebrate, and you decide to upgrade your phone to a more expensive model. Then you think you deserve a better apartment, a new car, more frequent dinners out. Gradually, your lifestyle rises, and the extra money you earn simply disappears. This behavior is so common that many people don't even realize they're living the same financial squeeze, just with a more expensive lifestyle. But why does this happen? The answer lies in our psychology. When we earn more, our brain wants to reward the effort. It's natural to want to improve your life, and there's nothing wrong with that. The problem is when this increase in spending is not accompanied by a proportional increase in your ability to save and invest. Let's look at a real example. A friend of mine, Carlos, received a significant raise and soon moved to a bigger apartment, bought a new car, and started traveling more. At first, it seemed like he was living the dream. But a year later, Carlos was maxed out on credit cards, had no savings, and was worried about bills. What happened? Carlos fell victim to lifestyle creep. He spent all the extra money he earned, and even went into debt to maintain the lifestyle he chose. What happened? Carlos fell victim to lifestyle creep. He spent all the extra money he earned, and even went into debt to maintain the lifestyle he chose. Now, I want you to stop and think, have you been through this? Have you noticed that when you earn more, your lifestyle rises and the money disappears? If so, you're not alone. But the good news is that you can avoid this trap. The key is to keep your lifestyle stable, even when your income increases, and invest the difference. This doesn't mean living like a monk or giving up everything you enjoy. It means consciously choosing where to spend and where to save to build real wealth. A powerful strategy is to freeze your lifestyle for a period, say 12 months. During this time, keep your expenses at the same level, even if your income goes up. Use the extra money to invest, save, or pay off debts. Let's do a practical exercise. Take your last salary increase and calculate how much more you started spending per month. Write those amounts down and reflect on what you could have done differently if you had kept your previous lifestyle. Another tip is to set clear financial goals. For example, decide to invest 50% of your raise. This helps create discipline and focus. Also, it's important to understand that lifestyle creep doesn't only happen with big expenses. Often, it's small increases that go unnoticed. A more expensive coffee, an extra dinner out per week, a new streaming subscription. These small expenses add up and can compromise your budget. To illustrate, here's the story of Juliana. She started earning a bit more and without realizing it, increased her spending on restaurants, clothes, and trips. When she noticed, she had no money for emergencies and was accumulating debt. Juliana decided to freeze her lifestyle for a year, cut unnecessary expenses, and started investing what was left. Today, she has a comfortable financial reserve and feels more at peace. Now, I want you to reflect. What small expenses have you increased over time? Are they quietly eating up your money? Make a list of these expenses and think about how you can reduce or eliminate some of them. Also, keep a monthly record of your expenses to track if your lifestyle is rising along with your income. Another way to fight lifestyle creep is to focus on what really matters to you. Often, we spend money to impress others or to keep up with a social standard that isn't ours. Ask yourself, do these expenses really make me happy, or are they just to show something to others? This reflection helps make more conscious financial decisions aligned with your values. To finish this block, I want you to make a commitment to yourself. For at least 12 months, keep your lifestyle stable and direct any income increases to investments or savings. This commitment can be the first step to break the lifestyle creep cycle and start building real wealth. In the next block, we'll talk about a mistake many people make that might be holding you back financially: not paying yourself first. You'll understand why this rule is fundamental and how to apply it in your life. Stay tuned, because what's coming next can transform your relationship with money forever. Have you ever stopped to think that, despite paying all your bills, taxes, rent, groceries, and even tipping at the cafe, many people simply don't pay themselves? That's right. Most people wait to save or invest whatever is left at the end of the month. And most of the time, nothing is left. This is one of the biggest financial mistakes you can make: not paying yourself first. It sounds simple, but the practice makes all the difference. When you pay all your expenses and only then try to save something, you're putting your financial security on the back burner. And the truth is, if you only save what's left over, you'll never save. There will always be an emergency, a temptation, an unexpected expense, or simply the impulse to spend what's left. And then, the money that could be working for you simply disappears. Now, imagine a different approach. Imagine that as soon as your salary hits your account, you automatically set aside a portion for yourself, for your savings, your investments, your future, before paying anything else. This is the golden rule called pay yourself first. It means you should treat yourself as a priority bill, a fixed expense that must be paid every month, without fail. It might seem hard at first, especially if you're used to living paycheck to paycheck. But the secret is to start small. Even if it's just 5% or 10% of your salary, the important thing is to create the habit. And you know what's even more powerful? Automating this process. Set up an automatic transfer to a savings or investment account as soon as the money arrives. This way, you don't risk spending that amount. Let me tell you the story of Felipe, a friend who was always struggling financially. He earned well but never managed to save money. When he started applying the pay yourself first rule, setting aside 10% of his salary every month and automating the transfer, his life changed. In a few months, he built an emergency fund and started investing. Today, Felipe is calm, knowing he has money saved and is building his wealth. This simple habit is the foundation for building wealth. It doesn't matter how much you earn, but how much you can save and grow. Now, I want you to do a practical exercise. Define a percentage of your salary that you will pay yourself every month. It can be 5%, 10%, whatever is possible. Write down this goal, set a start date, and if possible, set up the automatic transfer. If you think you can't save anything, start with a minimum amount, like $20 or $50 per month. The important thing is to start. Also, reflect on your current expenses and see where you can cut back to pay yourself first. Maybe reduce some variable expenses or avoid impulse purchases. Another important point is to understand that paying yourself first is not selfishness, but a way to take care of yourself and your family. It's ensuring you'll have resources for emergencies, to fulfill dreams, and to guarantee your financial independence. Now, I want to talk about a very common fear that stops many people from starting to invest: the fear of losing money. This fear is natural, but can be one of the biggest enemies of your wealth. Many people think investing is too risky, that they will lose everything, or that they need to be an expert to start. That's why they leave their money sitting in savings accounts, which yield little and lose to inflation. But the biggest financial loss is not investing. Because money that sits still loses value over time, and you lose the opportunity to make it grow. Investing is not rocket science. There are safe and simple options, like government bonds, fixed income funds, and ETFs, accessible to anyone. Start small, with whatever you can. $50, $100 a month already make a difference in the long run. The important thing is to take the first step. And remember, time is your greatest ally. The sooner you start, the more time your money will have to grow with compound interest. Now to finish, I want you to reflect on everything you've seen so far. The mistakes we make, the everyday traps, and the strategies to change. You don't need to fix everything at once. Start with one step. Choose one mistake to correct first, whether it's controlling emotional spending, budgeting, avoiding lifestyle creep, paying yourself first, or starting to invest. The important thing is to act today, because every day that passes is a lost opportunity. If you're ready to change, make a commitment to yourself now. Write a financial goal, share it with someone you trust, and start acting. And if this content helped you, like, share, and subscribe to get more tips that will transform your financial life. Remember, every millionaire had a first day. Today can be yours.